You ever hire a caterer and then stand next to them explaining how to hold a spoon? Yeah, vendors have a word for that, and it is not a nice one. Let's talk about what actually happens behind the scenes when a host decides to become the unofficial co-owner of every single booth at their event. Here is the thing about event vendors. They are not just showing up with tables and tape. They are licensed, insured, trained professionals who have probably done your exact event format hundreds of times before you ever typed rustic outdoor wedding into Pinterest. When a host micromanages, the first thing that breaks down is called role clarity, which is basically just a fancy term for who is actually in charge of what. Imagine if you hired a plumber and then climbed into the walls with them holding a flashlight and narrating everything. That is essentially what micromanaging a vendor feels like. Vendors operate on tight timelines that are mapped out almost to the minute. When a host interrupts to redesign the dessert table 45 minutes before guests arrive, that ripple crashes into everything downstream like a bowling ball rolled into a Jenga tower. What most hosts do not realize is that vendors have already stress-tested their setup process. They have rehearsed it, refined it, and built in buffer time. But that buffer disappears the second someone needs to just quickly change the layout for the fourth time. There is actually a psychology term for what happens to skilled workers when they are over-supervised. It is called reactance, and basically their brain starts pushing back against the control, even when they are trying to stay professional. So ironically, the more you hover, the worse the results tend to get. Not because vendors are being difficult, but because micromanagement genuinely disrupts expert performance. Think about the last time someone looked over your shoulder while you were doing something you were really good at. Every single thought in your head shifted from, how do I do this well, to how do I look like I am doing this well, and those are very different goals. Vendors go through the exact same mental scramble, and the food, the flowers, and the sound system all quietly suffer for it. A lot of hosts fall into this trap not because they are control freaks, but because they are terrified something will go wrong on a day that matters. That fear is completely valid, but redirecting it into a clear contract and a pre-event walkthrough is about 1,000 times more effective than hovering near the photo booth with a clipboard. Preparation, not presence, is what protects your event. Good vendors actually love a host who asks great questions before the event and then steps back to let them work. The best thing you can do is communicate your vision clearly up front, confirm the details in writing, and then trust the process you paid for. That is not being passive, that is being smart. Here is where it gets a little ironic. The events that feel the most seamless to guests are almost always the ones where the host was the most relaxed. When vendors are free to do their jobs, they go above and beyond, they problem solve quietly, they adapt in real time, and they bring a level of creativity that gets crushed the moment someone is second-guessing every decision. Micromanagement does not prevent chaos, it manufactures it. The fix is not complicated, and it starts way before the event day even arrives. Build a vendor contact sheet, assign a day of coordinator if you can, and create one clear chain of communication so vendors are not getting contradictory instructions from 3 different people who all think they are the boss. Role clarity is basically just an agreement that says you handle yours, I handle mine, and we both know exactly where the line is. It is the difference between a wedding where the catering team high-fives each other after the reception and one where they leave a 1-star review of the venue in the parking lot on the way out. The vendors who have been in the industry for more than a few years will tell you that the most stressful events are never the ones with tight budgets or bad weather. They are always the ones with unclear expectations and an anxious host with a walkie-talkie. Give your vendors a clear brief, a single point of contact, and the dignity of being trusted professionals, and watch what they can actually pull off. So the big takeaway here is that role clarity is not just a nice idea, it is the invisible infrastructure that holds your entire event together. When everyone knows their lane, vendors perform better, hosts enjoy the day they planned, and guests experience something that actually felt effortless, even though it was anything but. And if you are curious about how to actually structure vendor agreements, set expectations, and build events that run like a well-oiled machine, do you want to learn more about what our company does? Go check out the links in the description.